Look, I'm going to move on now to the other issue that, boy, kicked off a little bit yesterday. And we did publish yesterday on our app and website the full text of my communication from the Broadcasting Standards Authority, and that story, who assert that I am a broadcaster, that the platform are broadcasters when we're not, and would have us tying up our very limited resources in answering politically motivated complaints and adhering to a code of broadcasting standards which I've never seen. I suspect I wouldn't agree with if I did, and I have no input into. I was, to be honest, floored. I didn't get away from here till about 10 o'clock last night because my phone and emails blew up yesterday with people ringing, expressing support for the stance the platform has taken against being arbitrarily defined as broadcasters and brought under the control and censorship of what appears to be a corrupt or, at the very least, incompetent government quango called the Broadcasting Standards Authority. I'll bring you up to date with all the developments. Firstly, I went back to them yesterday and I said to the Broadcasting Standards Authority in writing that I did not accept their authority and I would not be taking part in any bogus complaints procedure they suggested. I told them I believed they had broken the law, they had broken the they had breached the Bill of Rights, and that I and the platform would hold them as board members of the board members of the BSA and the BSA itself liable for any financial or other damage suffered to the platform or me as a result of the actions they have taken. I also requested under the Official Information Act all correspondence, all material regarding the platform and the jurisdiction of the BSA over me or anyone else. So I look forward to hearing from that. They, despite my attempts to contact three of their people, Stacey Woods, Helen Kerrs, the legal person, and Susie Staley, the chair, none of them returned my calls in person. I got very limited email responses from them. In fact, I got less from them than the comments they ended up at the end of the day making to the media. Didn't I, Stacey Wood? Oh, we're not making comment. Well, you did, Stacey Wood. You spoke to another of our other journalists, didn't you? So that happened, and I was contacted by numerous lawyers yesterday who had analysed on the information available the claims of the BSA, and some very clear themes emerged. One, that they have not followed a process at the very start of natural justice in holding their secret meeting saying that they have jurisdiction over me. That decision itself is probably flawed, that they were never given the authority to make that decision by the Parliament of New Zealand, and in fact, that quite specifically, the Parliament of New Zealand has recently decided that it didn't want them to have that power. They have therefore acted what the lawyers call me ultra vires, outside their authority and illegally. And most lawyers said you need to get a judicial review of this decision in their communication with you and a statutory declaration that they don't have authority over you. I then face, and I've had offers, so you get offers of support, and sometimes they don't come through, but I've had offers of support to start that process. I'll be brutally honest, I have had a hell of a year. The platform's had a hell of a year. The last thing I need to do is get tied up in a legal process, but those are the cards we dealt. So I am now considering how to proceed on that. And we'll talk to the Free Speech Union about how that might work just after the news at 7:30. Look, there's a lot more that's gone, but there's an overview of what happened yesterday. Winston Peters came out, New Zealand First came out and called them Stalinists when they saw the correspondence. Thank you for that support. David Seymour came out and said they had some explaining to do. Thank you for that support. I even got a call yesterday from my mates at Rabbit Hole Radio, Reality Check Radio, who said thank you because it would affect them. And numerous people contacted me to express support for the stance we have taken, which is just wonderful. Just wonderful. I'm going to make an offer. Can we mark the time code on this? I'm going to make a very clear offer to the Broadcasting Standards Authority. If you haven't realised how far you have overstepped the mark, if you haven't read the room and seen the universal condemnation of your attempt at overreach, then you are incompetent and you need to be disbanded. But I'll make you a peace offering this morning. You abandon your plans. If you abandon your plans publicly, make an announcement you will not seek illegally to widen your jurisdiction to include everyone on the internet and people like me and outfits like the platform, then I won't seek a judicial review and a declaration about your powers. We could save the taxpayer millions of dollars that you will spend in legal fees to be defeated. So it is up to you, board members of the BSA, to make a decision in the interests of the taxpayers of New Zealand and the people of New Zealand. Pull your heads in, and we the people will leave you alone. If you don't, we all know where this is going to end. There's the offer. It lies on the table, take it or leave it, but you have unleashed a whirlwind. Why don't you try and put it back in the bottle before it costs us all money that would be much better spent by the taxpayer elsewhere? Much better spent not propping up your tin pot empire, but improving the lives of New Zealanders. Let's see. What do you reckon? What do you reckon the chances they'll take my peace offering? I am not sure. I'm really not sure. Look, I just want to address one other thing. A lot of people ask me, well, how can you say you're not a broadcaster? Broadcasters are levied to pay for the BSA. That's how the BSA gets its money. It levies the broadcasters. I've never been levied. They've never even assessed me for the levy. They levy people who have broadcasting licenses. I don't have a broadcasting license and I don't need one. What they've done is made up a set of rules. I imagine because they don't like me very much and they're leftists. Stacey would. And if they're not come out and say it, I have invited them on the program. I have invited Susie Staley, the chair, no response, won't even return a call. Stacey Wood, the chief executive, won't return my calls, sends me very curt emails acknowledging that I've asked for stuff under the Official Information Act. So they're not talking to me, won't explain themselves. And I went to the Minister, Paul Goldsmith. Oh, it's an operational matter. No, it's not, Paul Goldsmith. It's far more fundamental and far more important than that. So I imagine what the Minister is doing is trying to figure out how to get out of this mess. I imagine, Minister, the BSA, and I'm not sure if they fall under the no surprises rule, they probably should have told you before they made their craven power grab.